Nice wave. Good morning everybody, Calm Biker here. Just enjoying the last couple of days of my holiday with a bit of a ride. And I've just been chilling out on the settee, sofa, whatever you want to call it, with a game of Anthill on my iPad, listening to the radio. Bliss. I'm not saying necessarily that Anthill is bliss, but you know, not having to do anything is great. Anyway, while I was listening to the radio, there's quite an interesting thing going on. One of these phone-in shows. I think it's Radio Humberside or something. Burnsy is the name of the guy. Not sure I agree with him on most things, but here's some interesting topics occasionally. And today was quite a good one. He was talking about a motorist charter. Apparently a couple of groups, motoring groups, have got together and have put together a motorist charter, which I might try and find for you, but apparently it's 17 pages long, so it's a bit excessive. And it's all to do with the alleged fact that the government takes £58 billion a year off the motorist in the form of tax. Be that your road fund licence, as they call it now, what used to be the road tax, your tax disc that is, and fuel duties and VAT on fuel duty and all that kind of stuff. And although they take £58 billion in, they apparently only spend £10 billion on the roads, which is unsurprising. I think maybe they should spend a little bit more, because these roads are getting pretty terrible. And it was a phone-in. They had some interesting people on. So they had, for example, they were talking about potholes and people saying that the motorist charter should include that potholes will be fixed within a certain amount of time. And then a councillor on saying, well, some of these potholes can't be fixed because they're too big, and you'd have to replace the road. Well, duh. Somebody else said maybe you should consider putting in a motorist charter where you fix potholes in a certain amount of time before they got so big that you couldn't repair them. But there wasn't an answer to that. And then we've got lots of other ideas, some of them pretty good, but probably expensive, some of them crackpot. They had things like removing the speed limits where they were deemed unnecessary. So removing the speed limits on motorways and dual carriageways, but also just on some other roads. I think removing the speed limit altogether might be a bit silly, but you know, increasing it in certain places might be alright. And they were talking about all sorts of things. Somebody came on about talking about motorbikes, saying that there should be a CBT for car drivers so that they're aware of motorbikes more. There were taxi drivers on there saying that they should get a discount on the fuel, and all professional drivers should. There were people saying that the road tax should be a one-off payment for any vehicle, or maybe for the most expensive vehicle, so that people who have got a car and a couple of bikes would only have to pay for the car perhaps. Although actually nowadays bike tax is becoming more expensive than car tax. Road fund licence, I should say. So that got me thinking, and I thought what I'll do is I'll ask a question of you motovloggers, because we're all motorbike riders, bikers, whatever you want to call us. I would imagine probably the majority, but certainly a high proportion, if not, are also car drivers. And the non-motovloggers as well. If you don't make videos, great, but this is one really for a topic for people to video and vlog about. So what would your top 3 things be in your own personal motorist charter? And it can be about cars, it can be about bikes, bicycles, pedestrians, anything you like. And I suppose I should add 3 to the mix. And it's not going to be about removing top speeds or speed bumps or anything like that. Mainly because I can go around speed bumps. So I suppose my top 3, in no particular order. 1 would be potholes. Completely agree with the guy who was on saying that potholes should be repaired within a certain amount of time. There are places now where you can go on the internet and report potholes, but they still seem to not get repaired. Now the guy in question was saying that potholes should be repaired quickly because they damage your suspension in your car. And now, from a car driver's perspective, that's true. Of course, from a bike perspective, some of these potholes, if you go in them in the dark, not realising they're there with your front wheel, you're not worrying about your suspension, you're worrying about your neck. Because some of them that I've seen, especially on a scooter, I've seen potholes that are, you know, nearly a foot deep, and they are potential killers. So I would definitely go with that one. Second one would be not a CBT as such for car drivers, but I think it would be good to have compulsory bike awareness training as part of your test or part of your training. It wouldn't have to be anything particularly costly. It could be done off-road or on-road. It could be part of your learning. But I know very little has been said to Mrs. Calm about bikes while she's been learning. Whether that's because she goes pillion a lot and is already aware of them or not, or just that they're not really mentioned, I don't know. But certainly some kind of bike awareness, and some kind of bike awareness campaign like we used to have. If everybody remembers all the Think Bike stuff, I know it's still around, but you used to see a lot more of it. The Think Bike stickers in the back of cars, I've got one, I've got a spare one if anybody wants one. Although you can just go and get one for free. Just order it from the internet. But some kind of active awareness campaign, like the one where you used to have the guy who looked down the road and it said, how far is it? Or how close does a biker have to be before you see him? And it ends up with a bike crashing into the side because he's too busy looking for cars and not bikes. So that'll be my second one. So we need a third one. And you probably noticed a little cut there while I was thinking of the third one. Not because I was trying to think one up, but because I was trying to eliminate all of the other ones, because I can think of loads of things that I'd like to see in a motorist charter. But my third one is to do with experience. Now there's some people that the more experience they get in a car or on a bike, the better they get. There are other people who stay the same forever, and there are yet other people who pick up bad habits from the day that they pass the test and continue to add to those bad habits. And we see them all the time. We see people who are doing things that are potentially dangerous and probably have no idea that what they're doing is potentially dangerous. And I assume in most cases there's no malice in what they're doing. It's just that they've picked up bad habits, they've never had an accident because of them. So there's no reason really for them to get out of those habits, and nobody's ever picked them up on it because they don't get any further training once they've passed the test. So my last one is about not retesting. I think retesting is too harsh. I've mentioned this before in a video, but I think my third one is that there should be a rule that every maybe 2-3 years you have to spend an hour with an instructor of some sort. So maybe they could tie it in with your ROSPAs and your IAMs, so that you could, you know, with ROSPA you have to do your test, your advanced test every 3 years. That should give you a free pass if you've got that test, because you've done it every 3 years. But if you haven't done any advanced training, then I think an hour with a driving instructor, not a pass or fail, nothing that can take your license away, but just something that says you know, here are the things that you're doing and here's how you could improve it. Just so that people are aware of the habits that they've got into. I know some people say there's a cost involved with that, but let's be honest, the cost for you know, an hour's tuition compared to the cost of actually running your bike or running your car is pretty minimal anyway. So those are my 3. I would love to hear your 3 as well, preferably in a video if you can. So I'll just thank you all for watching. Ride safe, and I'll talk to you all again soon.